My wife was kind of curvy, but I once slapped her because her thigh wasn't as curly as the others and the curly hair was in them. She tried to dial for domestic services, but that was just pish pah, so I had to hand it to her, backhand to her like Chris Brown, had the bitch down, and my son did learn by example and began to clown. I started to eat my dinner, but my damn beef stroganoff was too cold, and the garlic bread wasn't strong enough. Another time I slapped her like Redman did for playing modern hip-hop. I began to deadpan, but I slapped her for not getting it, so she fled to Japan. But in a week she was sending spam to come back like a tin can, and the bitch was eating meat, suddenly tender like loin. Said, if you seen your groin, it's tiny, talk can do better. He was skeeting, so I kicked her out when I found out she was cheating. Then I bashed her face on a guardrail and slapped her. Bitch slapped my wife. You don't like me, I don't like you, so I bitch slapped my wife. Something's gone wrong with my life, so I bitch slapped my wife. My car keys are missing, bitch slapped my wife. My dog ate my son's homework, so I bitch slapped my wife. She tried to reach for a knife, so I bitch slapped my wife. Bitch slapped my wife. Bitch slapped my wife. She was acting up again, graffiti on the garden shed, smashing up the gnome's head, so I slapped her. I told my son he had his mother's eyes after I slapped him too for throwing his Nintendo Switch at the damn TV. Said it ain't rich. I didn't want to have to, but I went from slapping her ass to slapping her face in my hand to slapping her face with a baseball mitt. She had to touch her own clit. Later that day, she saw me driving to this girl's house, while she was driving to a guy's house, so I got out my car, pulled her out the car, and slapped her. Her cheeks were looking like a baboon, all red. Said be thankful, the red ain't blood. They should call me White God, because the Wu-Tang Clan must like that, but more red man than you, God. It wasn't even because I was a fan. Slap the shit out of you, slap the shit out of you. I was basically bringing it back to the 1940s. After listening derogatory, I love women, but I can't stand my wife. I was chewing my ear off and putting my feet on the sofa. I didn't finish the story, and surely you couldn't implore me. She smashed up my Audi with a baseball bat, so I dropped her off at a random Aldi instead of Audi. Police saw her looking frail, and like that Chasing Status music video, threw me in jail, all because of a female. She saw the white snake like David Coverdale, put my ginger ale for sale, and it's bye-bye Abigail. We're all for different trial, and I'm in prison doing 26 years, because I bitch slapped my wife. Bitch slapped my wife, you don't like me, I don't like you, so I bitch slapped my wife. Something's going wrong with my life, so I bitch slapped my wife. Our car keys missing, bitch slapped my wife. My dog ate my son's homework, so I bitch slapped my wife. She trying to reach for a knife, so I bitch slapped my wife. Bitch slapped my wife. Bitch slapped my wife like the film, The Slap, cause I bitch slapped my wife. Nobody wanted me to do a record deal anymore, cause I bitch slapped my wife. Bitch slapped my wife. She hated my clones, I bitch slapped my wife. She had the wallpaper on my phone, I bitch slapped my wife. I was cutting tribes, so I bitch slapped my wife. She was bitching about my life, so I slapped my wife. Like the advert for Slap 2, I bitch slapped my wife. I got laid off work, so I bitch slapped my wife. My work still getting word for her, so I bitch slapped my wife. When she did a twerk, I came home pissed drunk at 4 a.m, so I bitch slapped my wife. A monkey stole my Kit Kat chunky, so I bitch slapped my wife. Petrol prices were too high, but so was I, so I bitch slapped my wife. A baby won't stop crying on the plane, so I took it out on my wife. Bitch slapped my wife. I was full of envy after a dog tried to piss on my shoe like Horrid Henry, so I bitch slapped my wife. Domino's prank called me, so I bitch slapped my wife. England lost the Euros, so I bitch slapped my wife. My son started talking to me about the birds and bees, so I bitch slapped my wife. This guy named Jared kicked my knees, so I bitch slapped my wife. I called my wife bitch on the phone like E40. When she visited, I slapped her. And as the gods separated us, I started bellowing, I'm gonna bitch slap my wife. A transgender prostitute raped me, so I started elbowing her and bitch slapped her. It's Adz in the house, and I just slapped my wife. And I got arrested for animal cruelty, because even the police knew she was a bitch, like the one that bit me. A therapist couldn't sit me. I sat the therapist down and told him about 257 times I slapped my wife. I already said it, I don't hate women, I greet the postman with a smile. I just hate my wife and my life. That's why I bitch slapped my wife.